What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're going over Digital Daily number 13, and we got some information like who's the new HoH, who the potential nominees and targets will be, and a little bit of game talk and a little bit of drama from the fallout from the vote that happened last night. So, first off, who won HoH? Well, it was Kuzi. Kuzi won HoH. We don't 100% know what the competition was, but it sounds like the house guests had fun doing it. Vanessa kind of said like this was a fun one and it was kind of chill and not as crazy as the ball one. So we're not 100% sure what's going on there, but the first conversation that we ended up getting on the dailies was Vanessa and Ty. So pretty much they were having a disagreement about the vote. At first I was trying to figure out like, oh, were they just trying to figure out who the fourth person to vote to keep Rob was? Because of course Vanessa wouldn't deny that she voted to keep Rob, right? Nope, that's what she was doing. She was trying to say that she did not vote to send Renee home, that she voted for Rob to be evicted, which we all know would be a terrible lie. that would be a terrible lie to actually make. But that's what she's trying to claim. Santina was there too, and she was trying to calm things down as Ty's just saying like, you know, you went to Santina to try and get the votes together, so it just makes sense that you would vote. Like, I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but like what you're saying's not adding up. And they get into this whole weird conversation where she says like, oh, nobody comes and talks game to me. And he's like, well, I talked game to you. And she's like, well, who approached who? They go back and forth with this whole thing. Apparently Hope is also denying that he voted to keep Rob. So that's like two votes that are making people confused about what's going on. It was honestly really entertaining. It was like a good chunk of the first half of this daily, and it was a fun watch. I enjoyed watching this little argument. It was going nowhere, and it was going in circles, but it was fun to watch. Then we ended up moving to Kuzi and Jonathan, who were up in the HoH room, and pretty much saying like, you know, John is kind of making his pitch on why he's like, listen, I'm happy that you won HoH because I know like you will do what you are going to do. Like, you're not going to let everybody get into your ear, Zach. And he's just saying basically like he can't work with Zach. She also tells him the story about Zach hovering and how she didn't like that. So she is trying to, you know, appease John a bit because I honestly don't think she plans on having Jonathan touch the block at all. I think she really trusts Jonathan to the point where she would like to have him on her side, not against her. So this was really just a conversation where the two of them are trying to be like, listen, I'm going to just kind of mind my own business, but you know I'm loyal and I'm here for you if you need me. So it seems like Kuzi's plan right now is to kind of at least push it down the road, let Jonathan be a target for people like Ty and Zach, and potentially have him be the one to be able to take the shots of them later down the line. They also kind of talk how they didn't like what Dan said to Rob, and I'm not 100% sure what was said, but it was implied that it wasn't really coming from Dan, that it was coming from Zach. So I'm not sure if we even saw that on a daily, if we saw that on an episode of something that Dan said to Rob that they thought was really out of character and just kind of a low blow. John also just says, you know, he likes being around Hope, Santina, and her, but, you know, he's not sure about, you know, everyone else, which isn't maybe the best thing to say to Kuzi when, you know, he didn't mention Anika or Daniel. He probably should have brought them in, being like, I like them too. But again, he's just kind of going to try and lay low and be there for her if she needs it. Once that breaks up, she ends up going to join Vanessa and Hope, and they talk about, you know, the whole vote thing. The people who did the votes. And Kuzi just says, you know what, at this point, it doesn't even matter. I don't know why anybody's making a big deal out of it. we ended up getting Jonathan and Ty having a little chat too as well. Ty was just saying like, like I still kind of got your back, right? They were kind of Jonathan was trying to push the connection that they both have with Claudia, where Jonathan kind of sees her as like almost like his little sister because they got that East Coast connection. Obviously, Ty and Claudia are in like this little showmance thing. So Jonathan was trying to push like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, right? Like, what's good for you two is good for me, and what's good for me is good for you two. Like, the three of us should probably keep, a connection there. Ty was asking him to like, is there anyone you think I should be worried about? And Jonathan says, honestly, no. Like, I haven't heard your name come up almost at all. So you're probably safe there. But we also didn't get much more of that conversation. And then probably where we got the most game talk the entire time was when we got Ty and Kuzi. Now listen, Kuzi was a preseason favorite of mine. I really wanted her to do well. I still like her. Like she's entertaining, right? And she's got a fun personality. I just don't think she's good at this game because she is going to let Ty run this whole thing. This is basically Ty's HoH. Zach was the HoH for the first 2 weeks. Ty is HoH this week. So they start talking about how Santina is, and they're like she seems like she's good, but Rob was kind of pushing her and made her uncomfortable. Kuzi starts asking about like, oh, what was happening with the flip thing, and Ty kind of explains the whole Vanessa vote thing and everything that was going on. She runs down her theories as well and says she thinks number one theory, it could be Zach. She thinks it could be Zach who cast that rogue vote. And then her other theory is it was just somebody trying to give like a pity vote. Could be like Nene or Hope. But then once everybody started making a big deal out of it, they were like, well, I can't admit that it's me. And then Kuzi says like, with this, it wasn't even about sides to her, right? It was that Rob was a big competitor. And it's like, why keep the big competitor here who's a big threat? Which really feels like maybe you shouldn't say that to Ty, who's probably, other than Dan, the biggest comp competitor that you have in the house. Probably not the best person to say that to, even though you do trust him and the two of them have a good working relationship right now. And yeah, it's just kind of wild. And then she talks about how, if you keep Rob and you're going to piss off, Zach, Dan and Ty, and the three of them could just wreck the whole house, compared to like, if you have the numbers, it doesn't matter because they're going to be weaker players, which it's like, Kuzi, think about your logic there. You're basically saying, oh, if we got rid of Rob, it makes it easier for Dan, Zach, and Ty to run things. So if you wanted to take control of this game, really, unless you really think you have Ty wrapped around your finger, which you don't, he has you wrapped around his finger, you needed Rob. You needed Rob on your side in that situation. So sending him out wasn't in your best interest because you wanted them to fight. You could have then even blamed the vote on people like Nene and Claudia and said like, oh, they wanted to keep Rob so they could go after you. And maybe that doesn't work because they're close to Renee, but still, like, you have to at some point take a shot, because if you don't take a shot now, when are you ever going to do it? Ty and Zach are just going to slide to the end because they have good connections with everybody. Everybody has these other targets in mind who will eventually take them out when they need to. Because they'll win the vetoes, they'll win the competitions they need to win, they'll win HOHs, and not everyone is a physical one, but a lot of them are. And I just don't see Kuzi, Anika, and Daniel being able to win competitions over Ty, Zach, and Dan, especially if Dan sticks around, which maybe he won't because Ty was pushing that here. So that gets us to, what's the plan this week? And she pretty much says, I don't want people to see it as you influencing me, which he is. And she says like, yeah, I'll definitely come back to you though if things change, right? Like if anything changes, I'll get your opinion first. I'll run it by you. So he basically saying this is Ty's HOH. And I would assume she's even going to probably push that even more. Like she might be saying to Ty, I don't want people seeing this as you influencing me. But if I was her, I'd want people to think it was Ty and Zach influencing me. Absolutely. I'd say, yeah, oh yeah, I wanted to do this, but they got in my ear. They told me to do this. So who does Kuzi want to see on the block? It seems like she wants Santina and Vanessa. She wants to put them up with Santina kind of as her main target. Ty's actually saying it probably would be better for my game if Santina left because I feel like I can't trust either of them, but Santina is probably the bigger threat of the two. So, or actually, no, he doesn't push Santina. He pushes Vanessa, which is also a weird target because he was kind of saying just how he doesn't trust Santina and doesn't trust Vanessa, but Vanessa would be more of the one to go. It's a weird pitch. It's weird. Kuzi again is more worried about Santina coming off the block and coming after her, which then he says like, oh, I can relax with, I can get her to chill. She won't do that because that'll put her into a bad position. And then she talks about how Dan would be the alternate, not a backdoor plan, but like just the replacement in case someone came down, either Vanessa or Santina. Dan would go up, which Ty's totally cool with because he would love to get Dan out of the house because I think he can see that Dan and Zach are starting to kind of get closer and he wants to nip that in the bud and get rid of that before it becomes an actual thing he has to worry about. Plus, if Dan's out of the house, a lot of these endurance type competitions, Ty's going to have the edge over everybody else, especially the physical ones. Kuzi doesn't want Dan up first and then coming off because same thing. She kind of doesn't want him being coming back at her and taking out and targeting her. And then also, this blows my mind. She wants to protect Zach because if she puts Dan up, then Dan might get mad at Zach because he thinks that Zach has more influence over her and that Zach could have stopped Dan from going on the block. Kuzi, Daniel, and Anika are all in Zach and Ty's pocket. They will just do whatever they want, and it's going to be their downfall because if I'm Ty and Zach, I would love a final three, or excuse me, a final five of us two, Daniel, Anika, and Kuzi, because I feel great going into those competitions if I'm those two. That seems like a perfect scenario for them. Lastly, we got a few other things. Zach ends up coming on into the room and they start talking about the vote more. And Kuzi kind of gives him his like look like, was it you? And he's like, I swear it wasn't me. And they're like, relax. And they basically come down to it was probably Hope and Vanessa. Zach was like, I didn't want to say Hope, but it makes the most sense. They know it wasn't Daniel because Daniel apparently got really upset. Zach tells this story about how Daniel like came into the room. He was like, was it you too? And he was like, whoa, hey, no. Other than that, though, we got a little bit with Hope and Santina, where the two of them were kind of just chatting. You know, she thinks that Kuzi will make good decisions. Hope just really wants to play in the veto. Santina starts messing with him, kind of just repeating what he says. And he's like, are you messing with me? She's like, baby. And then he asked like if she was mad at him at some point. She's like, no, like I was just weird in general, right? Like I was in power as HoH and then I was out of power and it was just really kind of rough for me in general. It was just kind of chats about how she's been doing in the house. And then after that, we did get a little clip of John and Vanessa where he was kind of giving her advice on lying better, which she could have used. She was like, where were you earlier? Because she was not lying well to Ty. But that's pretty much it. That's mostly what we were able to get from this daily. Not a lot, but enough where it was, you know, some interesting things that we can think about going forward. Kuzi is the HoH. It seems like Vanessa and Santina will end up on the block. Dan, the potential replacement nominee. But listen, this is Ty and Zach's HoH. Whatever they want to happen is going to happen. And given enough time, they will be able to influence her to do what they want instead of what's good for her game. I honestly feel that. But at the same time, one thing I want to say is this season has been the closest we've seen to old school Big Brother in a really long time. Like, Ty and Zach really give me Chilltown vibes, where like everyone knew what they were doing, but they were able to pull it off anyway. Everyone knew what Will and Boogie were up to on BB7, but they let them do it anyway. Everyone knew what Will was doing on BB2, but they let him keep sliding on through. Everyone knew that Dan shouldn't be trusted on both of his seasons. But what happened? They let him do it anyway. People realize that you shouldn't trust Zach, but they're letting him do it anyway. So I don't see Zach going anywhere anytime soon. I really don't. I think he slides way past jury. The one thing I will worry about with both Ty and Zach is they'll end up being the double eviction targets, right? Like they're the ones who probably have the most to worry about. Unless one of them wins during the double eviction, I could seeing it end up being like Hope as the target. Maybe even someone like Kuzi, because it's like, when else are you going to get rid of her? Because who's going to vote her out? But yeah, I just don't see Zach going anywhere anytime soon. Him and Ty are really running things at the moment. Yeah, what do you guys think of what's going on? Let me know in the comments down below. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Links to all of my socials are in the links down below in the description. There's a pinned comment. Things like my Twitter, my Twitch, my Discord. I've been having a lot of fun over on Twitter. I've been just stirring the pot. Listen, anyone who's been watching me for a long time knows you never trust anyone with the name Spoil or Spoilers in their name. And maybe that's my new Twitter handle, and I've just been having a lot of fun messing with people over there. Also, check out the Kick stream, follow over there. I'm trying to get to at least 75 followers, I think I need over there right now. So go check that out. Hit the follow button if you can. Twitch is also a fun one where I've been streaming over. You can join the Discord as well and join the conversation. But listen, just thank you, all of you, so much for all the support you give me here and all of my other channels and platforms. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you next time.